Well, very good evening to you and welcome to Kairos TV with myself, Basetsana Phora, as we have a presidential talk with uh, Apostle Dr. B.J. Langa to speak on ECOFORUM as well as the Kingdom of God. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. As you know, COVID-19 has ravaged the whole world and South Africa was not spared. One thing that has happened in regards to COVID-19 in South Africa, though, is that it was able to expose a lot of rot and corruption, as well as a lot of disregard for the people of the country. And to speak more on this, we are joined by Dr. B.J. Langa. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. Good evening.
Good evening, Basetsana. Thank you for having me tonight.
It's a pleasure. I mean, let's start off with, before we head on to the review of April the 26th as well as Freedom Day, let's start with what COVID-19 has exposed in our country.
Yes, Basi, pardon, can you just repeat the question? We take it from there.
Absolutely. I was saying before we head on to the review of what has happened in the past few days, the 26th as well as the 27th, let's just start out by speaking on some of the rot and corruption that COVID-19 and the whole pandemic has exposed in the country.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity, especially the question itself. It's relevant. Yes, I would say, Basi, you know what, we're living in the times where, as I always say, that if you take power and give it to greed and give it to people who disregard, creation, because when you disregard the creator, you disregard creation, you disregard humanity, you disregard the people, then hence you see that now when even leadership is given an opportunity to redeem themselves, they even take the last, the list of what the people actually are looking for in regards to PPEs and monies for food and so forth. I mean, that to me, it shows you that this is the kind of an administration that can kick a horse even while it's dead, even while it's on the floor. When we look at how even the leadership in the very administration is meaning painting a good kind of a structure or maybe kind of a leadership that he has, but we see it with our actually naked eyes that the absolute corruption that is there, it is even much dire and moreover intense than what we have experienced as we call state capture. But what we're seeing now is heartless, and this is moreover kind of an administration that is, imparting. I would say it's a degradation. It's more of a digression, as I always want to put it, to say if you can take the last and the least what people are actually now hoping for, we can't talk about fixing the country and once talking about putting others to be accountable while the same administration is absolutely at it and their hands are in the cookie jar. And we need to actually talk about that and absolutely and say, it's we feed it and we stand against it, and we're saying that even the current one must really be accountable of what the acts of how things have went about, especially in this amid pandemic.
Absolutely. Now, with that, I mean, it goes to show that we are in need of a certain shift as a country and that it is time for new leadership to come through. Now, there is something that has been happening on the 26th and the 27th. Can we take a look into what has taken place in those past 2 days?
Are we talking about the 26th and the 27th? The
Yes,
day called Freedom Day.
yes, we are.
All right. Yeah, to be quite frankly, we don't feel even the resonance of the very day because At times, as an African child, as a son of the soil, it seems as if it's still a dream, and it's something that most of us, and I can, meaning put it out there, that to also have witness, from the very ground, from the local men and local women who are like me, I mean, ordinary citizens like me, we can attest that, the 27th meaning day have lost its meaning resonance, and I would say even this Freedom Day kind of dream has lost its essence, and because it was only sold to a particular group of people, and our people are still meaning going to sleep without food, and next, and moreover, some they don't even have a proper infrastructure. I mean, there's bucket system in some, locations and areas where we are coming from, and people are still struggling with water. I mean, a mere meaning basic human, I would say necessity, which is a human right to have water. But today, to have water, you need to have elections. Today to have water, to have basic needs and basic necessities, one need to go for elections. That's not how it's supposed to be, because those are the basic things that needs to be delivered. Uh, 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 you know, to the people by its government. So when we look back where we are from in 27 years ago to date, and we have to now be brought into a brings pain to all of us, a day that revokes such a pain when you look at how things are now. So for me, the 27th of April has become, I would say, to a black child and to an African child, it has become over a, I will put it plain as it is. It has become a swear word, because it's moreover like, cursing. It's more of like a curse towards what our forebears have actually now fought for. So it doesn't have a meaning no longer as it has an essence in order for us to really celebrate it. So now it's a shame in however, when we look at where we are and where we're coming from as a nation.
That is absolutely true, because you look at it, it's almost 3 decades now of, democracy and freedom that we have in the country. 3 decades of where still people are left without those basic necessities, as you mentioned. And it's now 3 decades of some necessities not being up to par. You look at some of the things that have happened in the country in the past few days, right, leading to Freedom Day. Charlotte Maxeke Hospital has a fire and a collapsing roof. What does that say to the basic healthcare system in the country? What does that say to the infrastructure that is there in the country? What does it say when you find cities or towns and rural areas, more especially, where service delivery is non-existent? But come poll time, you will find a ballot there.
It's sad, that you have mentioned the list, meaning Charlotte McLeod, you have mentioned the hospital and also the state of how our localities are at, and I would even now, say now, give it in the hands of the local men and women, brothers like me
Mm,
who are other citizens, to say, let them take a picture of their own communities, take a picture of their own, communities where they come from. If you are still there, take a picture of a community where you are. You'll cry tears, when I look at where I come from, and sometimes where I'm expecting development, and there's more corruption is more instilled, and there's an upper hand of a dictatorship where the young ANC, where the leadership and the councillors are acting up, and old people are losing things, and you see the allocations are being now dilapidated. You look at the infrastructure which was actually built, especially where I come from, in the days of Dr. Lucas Mangope. We had a
mm,
powerful infrastructure, but when you look at how things are standing now, you'll cry tears when you look around and see on how comrades have actually now forsaken their own people, meaning for their own pockets and also for their own joy. That is the call for the emergence of a leadership. I'm in South Africa already. say that it will not come to a bankruptcy when it comes to leadership. Leadership is everywhere. A son, a child, a daughter from Alexander will uprise. There's going to be someone coming from Pankop or Makapanstad or Majaning, or you can go as far as the northwest or to the Northern Cape or Langa. A leader will arise, I can tell you, because God is not the respecter of persons. If you are not performing your duties, He will absolutely appoint the other. Him who appoints that He takes away. So now He's not the respecter of persons where people feel like we are liable or maybe we owe them something for them to be in leadership. So hence we are coming out as the government of ECOFORUM to raise ordinary leaders, to raise leaders on the ground levels, and to come with that force. People who understand their struggle from their communities, who can become a voice and say, I want to stand out. So now, hence I'm here to absolutely now hold hands and partner with those kind of leadership that says to me, President, Langa, we're busy and we are ready. We want to partner with you so that we can take on this ox, taken by its horns, because that's what we need to do. So it's a shame, as I would say, that it's a shame on what we are seeing happening our hospitals and the health, meaning also system being also tempered. And I mean, for example, if you cannot benefit from your very governments, why are we voting for them? So we need to find ways on how, because the other thing is that the other thing is that South Africans are loyalists. They're loyal. We are loyal to a black president, and we never knew that a time like this will come where we do have a black president who disregard its own people. So it's very much important that the people of South Africa make a decision in the next coming elections that will absolutely now effect the change.
Absolutely. I want us to come back to that. But before that, I want us to now look at, you've made mention of some places, and in the places that you've made mention of are cities and towns in South Africa that really speak to the local person. And EcoForum has always been known for saying local is lekker. Can you talk about local is lekker for the year 2021?
Have to see my attire, and I did promise to our minimum over our confidence all over South Africa that when the time comes, and even prior it comes, because we never stopped campaigning, because we're not campaigning for elections. We are having a mandate, and the mandate that we carry, it's ancient. It's only enacted. So it's kingdom. It's about humanity. So it has nothing to do with me or any other person trying to get power. Now, if I have to put it plainly, that now this hashtag local lekker, meaning it's a concept which meaning brings a model. Remember, we come from politics that actually speaks of nationalism and nationalization, and everybody want to nationalize because they know that after that they are being appointed and they are at the assembly or national assembly, and they are the ones who are making the laws of this nation, then now they will be able to can loot as much as they could from the SOEs because of this national. So it's very much important to understand that nationalization does not actually necessarily speak to the people. It doesn't address the issue of bread, of the households that we have in our nation. So now, hence, local as letter, we're saying now before we can go and speak big figures and big meaning budgets of trillions and so forth, we need to realize there is a child who sleeps without food on daily basis in South Africa. We need to realize that there is a father or a mother who's losing a job, a fraction of them losing a job per minute in South Africa. And it is moreover of a serious issue that needs to be addressed. So we don't want to address big things and billions and trillions. We want to address at the household level. So local it's a campaign that addresses such and that also instills a new narrative that speaks local talk any other thing, talk about any other people. We need to absolutely looking for a president that will be speaking for his people, not trying to be a welfare president. A president that will say, "I'm standing for my house. I'm standing for South Africa. I am for South Africa," and moreover, understanding that we are also standing for Africa. But making an assurance that Africans do understand that South Africans also need to be established in order for them to stand and raise others. I mean, our sister countries out there in Africa. So local Basetsana is us localizing, localizing South Africa, whether it's economy, localizing South Africa, as you said, whether it's sector determination, health must come back here. Education must be localized, meaning you must make sure that your education is in line with the economy of this nation. You must make sure that now your local meaning campaign is a campaign that absolutely begins to uphold meaning over the lives and the dignity of the people of our nation. So local as a would be moreover addressing such into making an assurance that now local men and local women become partakers of the economy, of the politics, and moreover, you know what, in regards to the GDP of this nation, and we become I mean part of the production, and we'll take it on that in regards to the policy formation. So now that's where we're saying hashtag local as lekker, and now let everybody say this unto the sucklings and the infants, and even the children who are suckling on their mother's breast, they will also be crying out hashtag local as lekker, localizing South Africa.
Absolutely. And I mean, we only speak of localizing South Africa only when it's time for local government elections. But ideally, government is set out by these local government elections and then after the national elections. And speaking of local as well as the national elections, which will take place, the local government elections will take place in October, and the next coming national elections will take place in 2024. It is no secret anymore that ECOFORUM is going to be running in both elections.
Yes.
Let's take a look at your campaign and the pillars of your campaign for the local as well as the upcoming national elections.
Yes, Pastor. If I had to correctly, we might have been breaking a bit.
All right,
Yes,
apologies
Pastor.
for
If
that.
I want to hear you. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I was asking that it is no secret that ECOFORUM will be running for elections come with the next local government elections in 2021, as well as the upcoming 2024 elections for the national government. What are some of the pillars of your campaigns for the local as well as the upcoming national elections?
Yes. Okay. Yes, we have adopted four pillars, which are strengths to us. That, as I said, that addresses, I mean, serious issues relative to how you have to integrate the people, to the very, inclusive economy that we all are talking about. And we went about, which is the first pillar, that which I believe it's directive, it speaks to the people. Now, when you look at South Africans in prior the integration or the democratic dispensation, you would realize that now South Africans are people of skill, and mostly that even those that never had documentation in regards to their qualifications or so forth, but they were our fathers were people of skill, and that's how the economy of this nation was being built. So it was not necessarily being built by one big doctor, in those high profile kind of streams or sectors. But now at the level of skill, meaning development, that's where we want to actually now put our concentration. Now, how so? Now we do it through human development. Remember, if you want to build a community or you want to build an economy, you need to make sure that you bring the community to the equilibrium of the very economy. They need to be partakers of the very economy. We can't build the economy, meaning to be at a certain dimension and certain percentage, while the people of the economy are trailing, impoverished, and sometimes they even feel like they wouldn't be able to reach out. And you'll be having a few cluster of those that are even cannot be, just a handful of them that are billionaires and millionaires and are running, very speedily and highly, and they are being enriched, whether through corruption and so forth. And the real
Yes.
people who are the real government are struggling just to put bread on the table. We can afford that, because once that is the case, then we would be building meaning a South Africa that is still meaning imbalanced, a South Africa that meaning still has meaning injustices, not only socially, but it will be injustice in every sector and in every ember. And now, while others are thriving, and now, so it is important that we, as we are coming on board, that to introduce those pillars. So human development is key for us to bring skills and more training, education, so that those who had the skill can also be upskilled. Remember, you see, there is I'll give you now an example, if I'm afforded a bit of time to answer. That there is a plumber who is meaning who lives in Hammanskraal, a plumber in Alexander. This plumber is good and knows how to do his work or her work, but the problem is he or she doesn't have documents. And whenever even this tender system now begin to throw out jobs to them, they happen not to be the ones that are hired. They hire a company, or white or black, that will hire this man who is the one doing the work. But now, because of documents, he cannot do the work and get the money that he was supposed to get based on his skill. So now what you do, you take those in their numbers. I'm partnering now, as we are partnering as a government, we partnering with our assessors and moderators in all over South Africa, those that will be able, we're going to assess people over SA who are actually handmaids, who are with their hands, and who are, who are skillful, and to make sure that they have a bit of a document with them, as will be taking them through training, so they can have a document in order to upgrade their household incomes and so forth. So that is, for me, human development. But now, when you, if I'm given a chance to continue, I can say that the other pillar will be community development. You know, in order to deal away with the corruption that we see happening and the monies that are flowing, people don't understand that now local government elections are very important. They are so imperative, to a point that politicians know the importance of these local elections. That's why, hence, others were actually advocating for postponement, because they know that if they can hold on to that municipality for the next coming 1 year or two, they would be able to suck that municipality dry, with a couple of billions that can be taken from the municipality. Money is not in the parliament. Money is not in the parliament. Parliament is for administration and legislation. But now money sits that right there in the municipals. Hence now, whenever you call for local government elections, we need to let the people know the importance so they can vote. Then we can take the money that is given to the municipals, has to be for community development. Develop our communities. I mean, we coming from community that we used to play soccer, we used to have netballs and all those things. Bring those things back in our communities. Bring life back into our communities. We need to now begin to reform such.
Absolutely. The state, you've just made mention of something very important. It's as if we have forgotten how much of a talented country we are, and that talent could easily benefit the economy of this country. You look at soccer, for instance,
Yes.
sports development in our communities. And the last time anything was done with that was when there was
Mm.
2010 Soccer World Cup. And then that leads to us sitting with the youth that is facing a high unemployment rate. and a high drug rate, yet this person could have easily benefited for money from the municipality that upgraded a particular stadium or a sports ground or a multi-purpose center even.
Most definitely, Basana, most definitely, because you see, sometimes we go for, let me just break it out a little bit, just break off a little bit. Just sometimes we go for Olympics, and we know for sure that wouldn't even bring as much, goals that needed to bring back. Because why? We have moved away from how we used to do things. If I tell you now, and I can tell that somebody can attest to this, if you go to some rural areas, very rural, that are being left like that, or in locations, there is a young man that runs faster than Usain Bolt. Very young man with the, who doesn't even have a shoe, that runs faster than Usain Bolt. You see, that the young man need to be just given a support, you know, rather a support from Macapa start. You understand? You give that young man a support, run more than Usain Bolt, and they will give us 8.0 in terms of the time, the time on the track. Why? Because they are hungry and they want to see this happening. There is a young man or even a young woman and a young man who's playing maybe soccer or doing netball who are so hungry. And now you will wonder how this scouting is actually operative, because when corruption and it begin to corrupt a body, everybody becomes corrupt. That's why even scouting can't go to the location. People are just on the suburban and urban and so forth. Now we are saying as a government of ECOFORUM that is important that as we are talking this community development, to make sure that now we build those structures. Now that also takes off to social development, those structures, and build them for the betterment of our people. That talent under art and culture, that talent of that young woman can be the talent that brings us a fraction in regards to our economy. We can pay all our debts with the talent of two or three or four young men and young women. I mean, they could come up with an invention or an innovation. And if they are not being realized because community development projects are not taken serious, they are given to comrades, and comrades, they bang them for their own selves. So now we need to take those things away from comrades and begin to now place confidence, people who have the interest of ordinary people. And once we have them that have the interest of ordinary people, then we can appoint the people. Remember, now the government of ECOFORUM is coming with partnership. We not for dictatorship. We want to partner with every community in South Africa. And when we hold hands with them and say, President, we hold hands with you, whether business, whether community members, community leaders, and once we hold hands, then they are the government, they are the real government that will be leading us in what is to be done, and will be accountable to the very communities accordingly. So that's why we are supporting to say, let there be community development, social development, and those developments are actually key for economic growth.
I like that very last part. And I would want to go back just a little bit on that part of South African being loyalists. We are very loyal to what we know. I guess it's also that notion of better the devil that you know than the one that you don't know. But right now, it's a pattern. We've had so many elections coming through, and there are obvious patterns that we can see. Okay, it's clear that we will only have development in our communities only during these particular times of elections. And once those elections are done, nothing has been done. You will even find that a street was being done in a particular township during these election times. And once elections are done, everything is left behind there. There's kusele konke inhlabathi yakhona konke kunjalo, and it will only be moved and fixed next coming elections. This makes me wonder, why is it so important to vote properly? Why is it so important to vote right?
Um, I would frankly say it, and to my partners who are, I mean, my fellow Republicans in this republic. It is absolutely, at most right for us to vote right. It is so important, it's integral for our, I would say, for the democracy, and moreover for our growth as a republic. Because remember, if also we never had to vote in '94 and put our mark on the head of Nelson Mandela, we could have also missed the opportunity to start the journey. We started the journey because we wanted to deal away with the elephant that was in the house and in the room, and we had to chop it down because now of the degradation and the digression of how the apartheid regime has imparted, especially on the black child. So we had to deal with it so that not only for the black child, but also for a white child, also for an Indian child, also a colored child, also for every one of us. So now, what we were doing in '94 was to combat an enemy of what? Of progress, an enemy of social cohesion, an enemy of what? Of economic success, an enemy of what? Of unity. We were dealing away with that. So if we're going for to the polls in 2021 and we don't actually vote right, and we are still more influenced by us being loyalists of a black president somewhere in 1910, we would be finding ourselves right in the very same spot in the next coming 30 years. So now, hence we are urging that now South Africans must actually open up their hearts and open up also their minds to learn, and also their eyes to see, and even if their mouths to start becoming vocal, because they are the real government, and not to allow this, I mean, a kind of mediocre continuously continuing because of us giving them power. Once you vote, you give them power to what? To begin to lead. That's why after they get the power, you'll hear someone says, "We are going to lead until Jesus comes." That's pride. No, that's not faith. That's not even hope. It's pride. We are going to lead until Jesus comes. So there are some politicians who believe that democracy or South Africans they owe them a thing or so. They owe them something because they are politicians. No, we owe
Yeah.
nobody nothing. Our fathers are the ones who fought. Our grandfathers, they fought in their own way. So now your vote is very much integral. Your vote is important. Make your vote soberly as it can be. Whether you are getting a grant, you are not being given a grant by the current political party in power. You are given a grant by our money. That's our money. That's the monies that belongs to the people of South Africa. So any political party that can actually ascend to the call of administration, they will also do the same. If only they have policies that are in line with such in terms of gratuity. So your grants and your whatsoever that they are actually now throwing on the table to fear you up. Sometimes they don't even give you food parcel because you don't have a cut for whether ANC or whether that should come to an end, because now the money that they are using is our money. It's the money that belongs to the people. So voting right, says Basetsana, is integral and it's critical, especially in 2021 and 2024, in order to dismantle those in their own power, disregarding God and His creation, which are, I mean, the humans that are in South Africa.
I think you really touched on something very important there, Dr. Langa. The fact that there is a certain fear that should a certain political party move away from governance, then it means some benefits for the people will move away. But something that people don't really always see is maybe, just maybe, should this party move away, then you would get better benefits. I mean, you look into what has been happening of lately in the country. There are funds that we're hearing of, big numbers. We are hearing of COVID plans that were put in place, but then there was just something that cut it in half. And I think there is that fear in people, and it is time that people are
in
educated
people's
on
lives.
it. It is time that people are educated on their rights as South Africans. And speaking
No,
of rights,
I fully agree on that. Yes.
okay, I'll let you complete that sentence there.
Okay, I was saying, yes, I am in full agreement to the statement that you have just put there, that people might be fearful because they don't know their rights, and whether they've been told that your grass will be discarded and so forth. Now, look, I'm a kind of a leader, and that says I will never ever destroy something good. You see,
Mm,
what the ANC has done to bring us so far, it's an applaud. You see, now I'm looking for a time when leaders will not be critical only, but they will also be able to applaud for what they have done. Because
yes.
you see, yeah, I have my grandfather who was part of the formation of ANC in 1910, and for me, as a child who was discovered being part of the Bantustan somewhere because I was my parents had to move away from KZN and we were found in Basetsana. Now I've got to understand one thing there, that you see, you learn that when someone has done something good, learn to applaud them. They've done it, they stood, they died, they shed blood, they went for exile, they were exilic and so forth. And some of the great things that are done, whether it's grants, whether it's this and that. But when we talk about taking South Africa forward, we are not saying nothing was done which was done by them. So we need to
Mm,
embrace that, which is something that is not there in the political spectrum. There are few leaders that are talking as I'm talking. And now, if one will actually look at it, will see that now, even as you look at President Langa, he's not against anybody. He's not against any political party. He's not a breakaway from ANC. I'm not a breakaway from EFF. I'm not bitter. I'm only performing my duties, meaning of the kingdom. I'm performing my duties that I must do as standing as a leader for humanity. So I'm not standing here to say they are bad and we can be good. No, no, no. I'm saying they are good. But now, what needs to be now actually looked at is that they are not able to take us forward
oh,
in regard to what they've already done.
mhm. All right. And I want to talk about some of the burning issues in our country. R1 billion has gone down. I want to say down the drain because more and more money is still being spent on what we know as the state capture, the Zondo Commission.
Okay.
What are your
Yes.
views on that? Seeing that this commission is one that has amounted to so much money while trying to root out specific people. And as you may know, currently the president of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, was appearing at the Zondo Commission. And what expectations did you have? What did you take away from that, as well as from the whole commission ever since its inception?
You see, the Zondo Commission is a combination of TRC and SCOPA. Yeah, I'm going to put it right there because I need to put it right there so I can bring some wisdom on this matter. It is a combination of the TRC and SCOPA. But now look at how things are done in the very TRC. The TRC, the one that we see now in the Zondo Commission, has teeth, more teeth into dealing away with a cadreship and dealing away with the meaning with them that actually have stood, meaning and forsaken their families, stood for our people. But now
Mm,
TRC that was given to us was for us to
mm,
forgive to forgive those who have actually dealt with us, those who have killed our fathers and mothers, those who have killed our uncles. We had to forgive them, and we did that. And this is something that I believe that in South Africa we need to start talking about, because this is the truth. And if the likes of institutions like the church can't talk such talk, then the church won't be able to be partakers of taking South Africa forward. We need to talk the truth, that if you realize that now, how Nelson Temba Godi was brought into meaning chairing Scopa. Now you would see how he went about from 2005 coming to when he ended. Now he started very young there, but he actually impacted. But without having a budget that Zondo has as a deputy presiding justice. You see now, Zondo has all the money, but now Godi, I was talking to Godi a few days ago, didn't have all the money, but was able to crack what we see happening now in terms of the corruption on SAA, on SOEs and so forth. He managed to stand the test of time and to make sure that people, even though they were not, booked, but they were accounted for. Hence, they were identified. You see now, hence even his testimony was more critical and more important, because it was like Scott was the elementary or the pre-state of what the pre-state of inquiry, because of how they did things. So now I don't find it appealing when I see the state capture today. I don't talk politics, I talk the truth. I don't understand when I see people grandstanding for the nation. If you do not grandstand today, then we are in trouble as a nation. We can see a grandstand. We know when a president has been grilled. We know when a former president has been grilled. We are not children. We are not foolish. We will not be foolish. You can fool other people. You can fall into factions. Me, I'm not part of factions. I'm part of the purpose and the truth. Remember, biblically, Jacob was actually twisted his hip. And he said, "Who are you with?" And the man angel said, "I am neither for you. I am for those who are in the purpose." So the purpose will be the truth. And if the truth is not there, we cannot support and say we are part of faction. We must be truthful. We cannot afford a grandstanding in our nation. We like the president. We have seen what he has done, but we are not going to afford a grandstanding. There's no grilling. There's no testimony. There's no hard questioning. It's just a rehearsed session, and hence Zondo commission now is actually now has come to a place to be null and void. I'm going to be frank with you. If we have to take Zondo again for the next 3 months and give it the next 3 months after these testimonies, we'll be wasting our time, because nothing will ever come from Zondo except a propaganda that we see being staged. And for me, I'll tell you, I'll tell the president in his eye, I will tell anybody, it is a shame that we see a staged kind of interview. I mean, the president is capable to can answer his own questions. He doesn't need to be rehearsed. So when you see something being rehearsed, there will never be a criminal liability in a rehearsed kind of a testimony. No one implicates himself when something has been rehearsed. No criminal liability shall it be. No form of factual causation. Why corruption? Why you are afforded to allow such a grants or such a donations? They wouldn't be, because now you're becoming technical in how you do things. So for me, the state capture has taken our money, one, and number two, the state capture is working against its own people. Number three, the state capture a bit of propaganda that needs to be demystified, and somebody must tell us what is really happening.
Absolutely. I mean, you made mention of it being null and void. And the question is, when do we then stand up and say enough is enough? Because there has been points in the State Capture Commission where you could clearly see what you know. So when do we stand up and say enough is enough? This should end. They should not be wasting any more money on this. Because like you mentioned, Scopa could have done this and they wouldn't have spent R1 billion.
Firstly, our parliamentarians, all the 13 parties that are in the parliament, and the many parties that are out of the parliament but are forming a percentage of the 100%, including the government of ECOFORUM. We need to stand out and our voice to be heard. We pass all bills. Now we need to pass a bill that will speak against this so that we can put state capture to a discontinuity and say we will actually hold it here as far as we have went. And if there's a way in how some need to be implicated, let it be as they do it. It will come against themselves. So now we wouldn't afford it to allow this to continue like that. Now I'm calling for all parliamentarians, all parties that are in the parliament. They should, because they are enjoying the premier kind of reception. They need to remember they are being chosen by the people. For the people, in order to stand for the people, we cannot afford to allow that money, tax money of the people is used for another 3 to 6 months, and we don't have a resolution in whatever we want to achieve.
And you know, there's this part where people who stand before the State Capture Commission hold their right hand up and say, "So help me God," which takes me to the next point. We are a country where our national anthem clearly says, "Nkosi sikelele Africa." We are a country that is built on the foundation of the church, but we have forgotten the church. And it clearly showed, more especially during this pandemic. Why is it that the current state government is forsaking the body of Christ?
Basi, I need to have a sip on this one because I feel like I'll be talking my throat out.
Yeah.
Because whoever touches the church has touched his own family. Yeah, whoever touches the church has brought a curse upon himself. Look, the idea of the church is more spiritual than it can be physical. And the madness and the mediocre and the mistakes in the church that are evident, they are necessary because they were supposed to be there, especially in order to bring awakening in the body of Christ. All institutions have errors. Political spectrum has an error. All professionals, there's an error there. All of them, they've got an error. But let me tell you why the church. Because why the church? The church was supposed to become the answer, the resolution for humankind in the end times. The church was supposed to become the voice for the people of God in the last days. But now that's why even God is allowing, even the world and everyone to put the church to be naked, because remember the church itself was not even applicable when it comes to the activity in politics, and we were told not to be in politics. We were demonized to be in politics. We were spoken against to be in politics, and you'll be demonized to be in business, and that is the error done by our forebears in the church of God. But now God is doing now in the kingdom. He is restoring that. He is now bringing us back. I mean, we need in the church, we need people to be as lawyers, to be doctors, to become scientists, to become chief justices, and so forth. Now, what the church is going through now, which is, I would say, it's unfortunate, and the government must stop it. Because you see, when you touch the bride, you are touching, you are actually now releasing a curse against, upon yourself. You are releasing wrath upon your nation. So the government must stop it because the foundations of this nation are being built upon meaning the body of Christ, are being built upon God. One thinks that Christianity is white or black, it doesn't matter. We know right from wrong. So for us, it doesn't matter whether Christianity is Africanism or it is moreover Europeanism. No, it for us doesn't matter. What matters is that a child of a 3-year-old knows the right from wrong. He knows right from wrong, whether it's done by a white man or a black man. So now Christianity, yes, it's a formation that was brought by people in the book of Acts 11, and they called us Christians. We are not Christians. We are Christ. So we are called Christians because we were doing what Jesus has done. But now in general, we Christ, we are called for the kingdom. We are called for the kingdom that include ordinary people, include the communities, include the infrastructure, include the economy. Kingdom include a judicial. It includes a legislature. It includes a so when you say church, you are limiting. But now when you say kingdom, it is a broad spectrum, or meaning a chamber that speaks and addresses the issues of the people, and also what people need to have and adhere. So what government is doing after having a song of Nkosi Sikelele, it's a curse upon the nation. It's affording God to leave such a graceful nation, because South Africa has been given grace so that other nations can learn the love that we have seen in South Africa, the forgiveness upon the majority people in South Africa, the love that our people are having. After such a time, a regime of degradation, Africans still have love for their white brothers. We are loving, and we have never seen it happening anywhere in the world. So now, in other words, what the devil is trying to do, he's trying to take us out of our mandate, because our first mandate was for us to operate as God operates. Then we won't eat money, we won't steal money for PPEs that belongs to widows, that belongs to orphans, that belongs to that divorcee and divorce. We won't steal money from them, because we are with the heart of God. We are people with the heart of God, because the economy begins with the currency of love. So the devil is shifting us from there, so that we become more communistic, more socialistic. That's why I even find bishops talking socialism, communism. They are out. They are being sold out in the era of the ECOFORUM. So we need to also reform that. So we come back to the gospel and the kingdom, so that the same government that we see, meaning dealing us away, we can reform the message of the importance of the kingdom of God in a nation. And why is it important even to a nation such as South Africa, of Nkosi Sikelele, Africa? And you remember, our mothers used to cry. Grandmothers were crying, and came with a song. And now some of the others now, they cried at the fields, and they were crying, Wozamoy, Wozamoy. The ANC has the same song in full. Wozamoya, Wozamoya. Which spirit are we talking about? That's why the is the same song that we also have now purported for this government. We say, just all the day of Pentecosti, Papatis Lilo, Lilo, what ECOFORUM, why singing the song? We are connected to the weeping and the wailing of our elders who are singing Wozamoya, 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 Wozamoya. So South Africa must go back to God and realize its fundamental meaning principles in where they come from, and the reason why we are where we are, because God is being our father in this nation, in our diversity.
And I think when you look into what has been happening in our country, God is trying to talk to us. He's not even trying to talk to us. He is talking to us. And kumele ukuthi thina sivule amehlo, sivule indlebe,
Yes.
sivule nomlomo to show ukuthi siyabona ukuthi kwenzakalani. Coming to that, I'm looking at the timing that we have. I can never let you go without having spoken about Section 25 of our Constitution. What is the stance of land compensation for ECOFORUM?
You see, ours is simple. It's been simple. We have never been confused, Basetsana, from the on-go, even as we were coming as the new kids on the block and being called names, entrant parties. We were never confused because remember, as I say, I'm coming from a structure that owns land. They have land in their hands, and I'm coming from that structure that when they speak land based on inheritance and documentation. And I realized as we were learning I would say an amiss in how this has been actually catapulted. Now, when you go back to 1913 and see the Land Act, meaning that was actually now passed in the parliament, and you will realize that hence we say land was taken unlawfully. You will realize that now there was a promise of giving back land. Now, it came to times when they realized the freedom charters and in the 50s and so forth. And in 1970, then there was, moreover, I would say, sitting that deals with what we call private property act. And this act is so you when you go through it, because unfortunately not everybody would have the meaning the privilege to access such documentation or documents in order to begin to now learn and understand when they are being fooled, when they are being lied to, and so forth. I tell you, the land issue is an African dream. The land issue is something that you can throw on any ground. Everybody will follow you because Africans need land. We need land. We need to be given back land and our land in order to be able to partake, as I said, to national economies and moreover global economies. But now the way it has been done, the bill has been passed and people have, it's been circulated to all of us. We got it on emails and everywhere. But I can tell you where I'm standing right now, and I'm going to be frank here. Land expropriation without compensation in South Africa, even those who are saying they are advocates for that, they are just saying it, but they know the verdict. They know the result. They know what is going to come out. Land expropriation without compensation. At most in the spirit, we need prophets to tell us now. You see, it can cause a bit of conflicts among ethnicities because it can cause a bit of a civil war because now you must take from a Bure man or a Bure woman. Yes, it was taken unlawfully, and they know that we must take it now. But now they already have a document that they acquired. However, if they have acquired a document, and you are coming in there, they bought it maybe a shilling. Now it's 10 million rand. They acquired it, and then you want to take it from them, and you come in there, you put your checks, you put what, and 2 minutes you see the red ends and the police say your houses are being banned, your furniture is being banned. People are losing much more than there are political leaders who are advocating over this. And because now the one who owns land, I can tell you personally, go in Askra, where people have put, you go in Karankua, you go in wherever, people are being taken away, people are being escorted out of their own lands. Houses were demolished. Shacks were demolished. We don't want to go through the pain. We need to win this topic lawfully. We need to bring it back to a concord and get to understand as we align and realign the Land Act 1913 to 1970 and now, and say now where does it come from? And go and collect all landowners. We've got them. We've got chiefs and priests, prince and princesses, queens and king. They're there. That's why
Yeah.
to touch the Gwenyama class. I say it all the time. Nobody. Those have who are so-called have talk politicians. They could not talk with touching Gwenyama because the moment they start touching, they know there was an alert and a warning. Why? Because they got a document that they acquired before 94. Because they knew before the election of 94. I remember when they actually also contemplated to stop the elections. They were fighting for that document. And now it's very much important for us to understand that people need land. And how we going to give back land to the people is very practical. We're going to make sure when we work with the people that has the land, the kings and the queens, and we're going to do distribution accordingly. Now let me show you. Now we believe in land restitution, and we believe in land diplomas. We don't want land for settlement. Why do I want land to build a shack only? I want land to build my house and land to also farm, land for agriculture, land for my mining. And the thing that people don't talk about when they talk land provision, we can bring it to you now. And I think this will be the first time it's been spoken. Is that they're talking about land on the top. You see, and South Africans are marching and people are fooling them around. You're talking about land on the top, but who is owning land underground? Well, it's not on the top, it's underground. There are people who already, I promise you, who owns the land underground. If you will know the land underground, you will know how to do, you will know what to do in making sure that your vote counts for you to really see meaning that coming to pass. There are people who owns land underground. They will give you land on top, a land that has been tested that will produce nothing, a land for squatter camping and settlement. No land for mining, no land for agriculture can be done anywhere. Mining and other sectors that have to also be part of the land, so the people can actually earn and gain from the very land that they are receiving. So land expropriation is a fraction to land restitution. When you say restitution, you are saying restoration. So you are addressing the issue in four scores. So you are addressing land that was taken, and one must acknowledge that yes, it was unlawfully taken. You can't sell land with a mirror. You are taking chances with. You can't sell land here and come here and say I'm saying I sold my land. My grandfather sold land with the comp. You are taking chances with. You are taking chances. Let's take that into court and measure and see and the weight of the comp and a 30 hectare. A mirror and a 40 or 17 JRs. I give you a 17 JR and you are giving me I'm giving you a mirror and you take my JR. It's an insult. So now we need to look at that. So now hence we're saying restitution will give you land, but they must also give you skill, the skill of the land. We've been away from the land for many years. We are being taught to buy from ShopRite. We are being taught to buy from Pick and Pay. We are being taught to be crazy going to buy at fruit and veg and coming home with those checkers and showing everybody those checkers. No. We need to destroy and deal with that so that we can have our own gardens in our own homes. So we must have a skill to till the ground. Number 3, we need the finance so that we can build the economy in the very land. Number 3. And number 4, as much as you get the skill, you remember you will be getting skill from a white man, from a Bure man, from a Bure young man. So we need to love them also at the end of the day. We need to have them. We need to bring them along. They must teach, whether they are getting compensation, they must teach the people on how things were done. Say black men can farm. We have been actually running an economy here before anybody could come. An economy was run in this very southern African land.
Absolutely true. And I think you've also touched on a very important part when we talk about the land issue. It's the land that is underneath, and it goes to also the oceans, because that's something that we never talk about. Yet the oceans are so rich. There's
Oh
gas and
yes,
oil there, but there's no
ocean economy.
conversation around that. Absolutely. So these are conversations that really need to take place, and hopefully, so you'll invite me back. And with that, it takes me to the very last question. Why is it so important for you, Dr. B.J. Langa, the ECOFORUM president, to have your very own media entity or media company, more especially during the times of local government elections?
It took me, I think in 2020, I got to realize, our campaign of 2029, which I started in 2015, 2016, and have knocked on every door and couldn't get, access, whether it's the SABC, and sometimes we find ourselves doing rallies and crusades, and we are expectant for ENCA to come on board, and newsroom was not there, and nobody did come. Only you'll find maybe then was the AN7 and so forth, because they were actually now advocating for black people now, and the black agenda. Now we have a problem here, where you are coming and emerging. Yes, you could be a new kid on the block, as they call you, but
Mm,
ANC was once a new kid on the block. They were not even afforded to vote. So how do you call us a new kid on the block now? And we are not afforded an equal time, especially when it comes to meaning whether promotion and marketing, so people can hear us speak. So now remember, the narrative that we are coming with of the kingdom is fairly, it's not new, it's been there. I mean, the Reverend Mitch has been there and so forth, but been struggling because the church was not getting it to say
mm,
God is really calling you to come out and to vote in numbers. And the church, most of the people in the church are not registered. Hence, even tonight, I'm calling for them to say, go and register. Go and register. There's no voting without registering. Get down to IEC houses and offices and register today. And we are going to bring registering in the churches. We must register, all of us. If we are 80%, we must register. Now, then I realize that now, if you cannot share your views, and here you want to stand, and you are called to stand. Your advocacy is for for the people of the republic, but you cannot share your heart with them. Nobody will know the kind of leadership that you carry.
mm,
Nobody will ever even support the leadership that you are actually standing for, because you are not at the norm in regards to being brought on your prime news, prime times, and so forth. And now the only few that are in parliament are the ones who are enjoying the privilege of coming in there and talking as they like, and calling names as they like, stealing our money and so forth. So now what we need to do is not to complain no longer, but to build structures that would absolutely speak towards that. So hence, TV as a channel was founded then to say, in April, on the 8th May, we actually launched it. We went to 330,000 people, and we were blocked on Facebook. And I want to say that we were blocked not because we said anything, but only because now there's someone who knew that we were building something, and we couldn't even build our numbers. We couldn't even build our views. People couldn't come in. We were tempered and blocked. And even till today, we can't even say we're growing the group. Only when people can go there and like us and follow us. But I want to tell you, we stood the test of time. And as you know me, when I do something which I believe it's right and we do it right, I'll pursue it until the end, and nobody will take us from it. Now, Kairos TV must stand as a channel, moreover, online channel that must be the advocate for these smaller parties, and also these other parties that will be contesting contesting in the coming elections. So when they want to share their views and their presidents want to speak to the people, they can be in their platforms, but we know that Kairos TV as a channel is present. Now we will make sure that we become mainstream, and we are on whether we even are on DS that they are owned. Actually, the DS that is owned by the same people. We will be in the very same DS, TV, and all other platforms. Make sure that the news are being heard accordingly, not through a propaganda. So a propagandized meaning newsroom is a dangerous newsroom that can filthify a president like former President Zuma. And we all know him as a bad man today and to date. And we knew him as a man who disliked South Africa, who took Indians and gave them money and stole our money. We knew him like that because that's a propagandized media. A media that can draw a person to be a slack person, or I would say a person to be very slack and very unloving and corrupt and so forth. So we want to make sure that this platform becomes a platform where we can reply, where we can speak our narratives, and so that the voice of those who are also called the least can be heard. So we're advocating for those, the majority, that are silent. And I believe Kairos TV, as a medium of communication, will do such. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I also do believe that the platform will do absolutely that. Thank you so much, Dr. PJ Langa, for availing yourself for this presidential talk. Can we just have last few words from you, words of encouragement, more especially on reiterating on the importance of voting right?
Yes, my last words would be the first thing I'm asking that let all South Africans go and vote. Let us all be, particularly I said when I talk to especially the South Africans that I'm standing for also, which also are the church, that until your prophecy becomes law, it won't be heard. Until your prayer becomes an act, it will not be availing much. So as we prophesy, let us also know that we need to have it as a law. So we need most of you to stop, demonizing governance, because that's what we need. Your children will be affected by the laws that are passed in the parliament, the bills and the acts that are assented by the president or any party. I mean, we see many children we see unborn kids being killed on a daily basis in South Africa through abortion, through what? So we need to advocate for the right thing, stand for the right thing. If it's the origin, stand for it. So I'm saying now yours in voting right would be giving us the kind of agility or the power, to be able to stand and speak for such. Because in Parliament, the Parliament works with numbers. So if numbers are not there, we might not actually find a good verdict that speaks to us. So your vote brings a change. Even when you are one, imagine when you are two, imagine when you are 1,000, imagine when you are a million. So hence we are saying even now, hashtag 1 million membership drive, that which I'm going to lead until 2024. That I want to say this. Go into our website, which I'm going to say it now, Basi. I feel like saying it because I'm not taking no time. Go to our website, get in there, get a membership. You can even fill in there your membership in our website. Get it right now. Not even when. Take 2 minutes. Put your name, put your IDs and everything. Then it's poops. It's in our office. We know that you are there. And do it for your children, your wife, your husband, your uncle, your auntie, your grandmother, your grandfather. Your young men, the ones who have just turned 18, get them to them, let them vote, let them get the membership. And once you get the membership, we know when time of voting comes, you need to have actually registered. Go register for voting. Go register for voting and then ask around politically, what is it that you can do? Some of you are part of the leadership that I'm looking for. And I'm waiting for you. Send me your emails. Send them as you like. Send your emails, send your leadership, send your forums and your fraternities. We're not playing. We are serious about this mandatory. And we are saying this can only be achieved through your partnership. So now your vote will absolutely become the effect of change in 2021 on the 27th of April, of October, this coming, this year, where I believe that we will change everything and make sure that we absolutely see the change that we all are longing for. So thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you so much. That is Dr. BJ Langa saying your vote could be that changing factor to becoming a country where we want to be in terms of our economy, in terms of our livelihoods, and finding ourselves in a position where we as a country are able to be on par with the rest of the world. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Kairos TV for the presidential talk from myself, Basetsana, also known as it's good night and thank you for joining.
Thank you.